Sal Marciano with Randy Gordon back at ringside at the Sands Hotel here in Atlantic City. Middleweights Tony Suero and Jack Torrance are on deck. We have seen Tony Suero on ESPN several times, and recently too. He's a very popular fighter in these parts. Let's get the introductions from Ed Darien.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next bout is scheduled for 10 rounds, and it's in the middleweight division. The judges, Harold Letterman and William Castron. The timekeeper of the bell is Roy Johnson, counting for the knockdown seconds, alternate referee Joe Cortez. In the ring at this time, the man in charge of the scheduled 10-round middleweight bout, referee Larry Hazard. And now, boxing fans, introducing the principals. First, in the red corner, wearing the blue trunks with the white trim, he is weighing in at 156 1/4 pounds. This young man hails from the windy city of Chicago, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Jake Torrance. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing the red trunks with the white trim, he is tipping the scales at 158 3/4 pounds. This young man is a native of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but fighting out of Vineland, New Jersey. Boxing fans, here is tough Tony Suero.
Okay, fellas, you fellas are boxing under the rules of the New Jersey State Athletic Commission. They are as follows. Punches should be kept up at all times. Watch the head. Kidney blows. Punching with the open glove and the use of the thumb. When I tell you guys to break, I want a clean break. However, protect yourself at all times, especially when you're coming out of the clinches. In the case of a knockdown, fighter who scores the knockdown, you go to the farthest neutral corner, remain in that corner until I tell you to come out. Fighter going down, you must take a mandatory 8 count, with the 3 knockdown ruling being waived. And the bell cannot save either of you if you go down at the end of a round. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, shake hands now. Come out fighting at the bell. Good luck to you.
Tony Suero saying no, sir, to Larry Hazard, the referee. This is scheduled for 10. Suero has been that distance. Jake Torrance says he's never gone 10 before. Suero coming off a TKO over Danny Long of Boston. That was seen here on ESPN. Torrance last fought in February, won a 6-round decision.
Sal, as we said earlier, I'm predicting a real action-packed fight here because Suero is not one to take a backward step, and Jake Torrance doesn't take many backward steps either. He likes to come and fight.
If it goes the distance, they score it on the round system here in New Jersey. And the referee, Larry Hazard, is involved in the scoring. Torrance in the blue, Suero in the red.
Now, from what I've seen of Torrance, I think he's a little bit faster of hand than Suero, but he stands 5'7½", Suero 5'11". That could be a difference.
Suero's first effective punch was a countering right hand, and right on the chin of Torrance.
Well, it was that countering right hand that put Danny Long to sleep in the 5th round just 2 weeks ago. So let's see if he uses that counter right hand again.
Tony Suero turned professional in 1979 after winning all 4 of his amateur fights. They figured, why go on in the amateurs? Why not do it for money?
That was his feeling about it. He made the right choice. Those are power jabs that Tony Suero's throwing. Notice his feet are flat on the canvas. He is not up on his toes. He's planted. He's got his feet planted for maximum power.
We're halfway through the opening round, and there is some redness underneath the left eye of Tony Suero. So Torrance has tattooed him already. Overhand right on the shoulder. Suero missed with it.
As an amateur, Torrance claimed, he told me, he said he had 200 fights, winning 170 of them. Sounds kind of like a tall tale to me, but from what I understand, he did have quite an amateur career, so just maybe he was 170-30.
With that kind of record, there probably was a line outside his door from the fight manager.
Well, if he was throwing it, he continued to throw it quite well, because he told me that in the 1980 National Golden Gloves, he lost in the finals to Donald Curry, who's currently unbeaten as a pro. But on the way, in the quarterfinals, he beat Bobby Joe Young, and in the semifinals, he beat Milton McCrory. So I don't know. It sounds like a tall tale to me.
Moments ago, did you see that right to the body by Suero? Then he followed up with the left hook to the head. Suero with a lead right hand. Suero with a tough jab. Torrence now backing up.
Nice move. Catch and punch.
Suero making tremendous progress. He is a much more effective boxer than he was a year ago. We'll be right back with round 2.
Nice jab. Turn left. I gotta be out of here.
Round 2 in Atlantic City, middleweights. Tony Suero in the red and Jake Torrence in the blue. And between rounds, animated conversation from Carmen Graziano, the manager and trainer of Tony Suero.
Oh, it's so much fun going into the corner when Graziano is working. He was telling Tony Suero that he should stop looking for the counter right hand to the head, that he should start feinting it to the head and drive it to the body. But as he was telling Suero that, Suero said, hey, did I win the round?
Suero is shaken up Jake Torrence with a couple of right hands here in round 2. And he is not doing what Graziano told him to do, to work the body, but he certainly is effective.
Well, what happened, as he was shaking up Torrence with a right hand, he got clipped with a left hand right on the eye, and it could have been a thumb that stuck in his eye, and he was blinking for a second there. So
Look upstairs, go downstairs.
he got quite ticked off and decided sometimes when a guy gets mad, he forgets everything. He just comes out throwing bombs.
Well, that's a perfect example of Tony Suero, because we have seen it before. He actually fights better when he's tagged.
A lot of fighters do fight like that. When you hit them a good clean shot, you wake them up.
Now you see Suero remembering what Graziano said just a few moments ago. He whacked Torrence with a hard right to the body. But there he is, headhunting again.
I gave the first round to Tony Suero on the fact that he landed, I thought, more punches, and he landed the harder punches.
Good right hand by Torrence, a lead right, and that shook up Suero. Suero digging the right to the body, left to the body, remembering what Graziano told him to do. Now, Randy, do you think that Torrence should be slugging with Suero?
Not at all. First of all, he's about 3.5 inches shorter. So what he should be doing is flirting in and out, just skirting all around the place, side to side, up and down, in and out. He can't stand right in front of Suero. Torrence told me that his best punch is a solid left jab. I want to see it.
Right-left combination by Suero on the head of Jake Torrence. Once again, an easy bout for the referee, Larry Hazard, with very few, if any, clinches for these two middleweights.
Grab, hit that back right here. That's it. Put the come. Put the come. That's it. Downstairs on the hook shot. Downstairs on the hook shot.
Suero following Torrence around now, not cutting off the ring.
Cut the ring. Stalking.
Torrence said he took this fight on 1 week notice, and this is before the fight. He told me this, and he said, not that I'm making an excuse, but what I'm going to go and do is stand out there and use all my experience from the amateurs, 200 fights, and just conserve energy. And I told him, you're in against a guy who's not going to conserve energy. So, well, then we're just going to have to mix it up.
Keep on.
Tony Suero, with 7 knockouts in his 11 wins, is progressing as a professional, hitting much harder. And that takes care of the second round. Let's go to the corner of Tony Suero.
Good box. Now you see that? He did half of it. You see, he's picking his hand up. He's open there. When he's picking his hand up for defense here, yeah. When he picks his hands up, watch Tony. Tony, you go to hit your hand. I pick my hand up here, my open spot. Right there and back with a left hook uppercut, okay? Let it go all the way around. Turn your head and your body and get leverage for the left hook that you come back with, okay? Off the eyes. You're doing a good job. You're boxing nice. You got good professional boys out there. And stay with it. Don't get hit, Tony. Hit the don't get hit. This is the name of the game.
Let's take a look at some action from that second round. That's Torrence in the blue, Suero in the red, measuring him. The lead right hand picked off by Torrence.
Seconds out.
But Suero with an effective jab, keeping him out of his range. What did Carmen say? Professional poise?
always an experience going into the corner with Carmen Graziano.
He knows what he's talking about. Carmen Graziano, a veteran trainer and manager. Always clear-cut with his instructions in the corner. Now Torrence comes out. Looks like he wants to be busier.
And as he was telling Tony Suero what a great job he was doing with the right hand to the body, Tony was looking away towards the split bucket. And Graziano's going, Tony, over here, Tony.
Left-right combination by Suero to the head of Torrence. Torrence can't wait for Suero. He better get off first.
All right, let's break out. Step back. Maurice blocker, left hook. Put your head right here. Drop your head deep. Drop your head deep. Go ahead, drop it in. Step. Come on, let it come. Come on. Drop your head deep.
Torrence continues to wait on Suero, and that's a lethal game.
Anybody who waits is going to pay the price. And right now, both guys are posing, but Torrence is doing more of the posing. As I see this fight after 2 rounds, Tony Suero has won both of the rounds. And I think Torrence is going to have to start picking up the pace. I mean, coming forward and throwing punches. He cannot win this fight backing up.
Step, Tony, run aside. Run aside. Come on.
After 2 very busy rounds, here in round 3, both of these fighters are waiting for a bust.
Well, I think what Tony is trying to do, he's trying to do to Torrence right now what he did to Danny Long in the 5th round. Set him up with the left hand and open him up for a left hook or especially a right hand.
Halfway through the round, Suero threw a double left hook. The first one was blocked by the arm of Torrence. The second one was right on the head of Torrence.
That was a punch that could hurt a lot of fighters. When you go to throw a left uppercut to the body from way outside, you usually land on the guy's elbow, and you could break your fingers doing that, especially your thumb.
As we enter the final minute of the round, Suero beating the head of Jake Torrence. Lead right hand by Suero.
Suero listened to Carmen Graziano, who was yelling from the corner, over the top, over the top. And just as he said that, Suero launched the over-the-top right hand.
There's that left to the body again by Suero. Jake Torrence is not fighting smartly here. He is letting Suero get off first.
When you get that close, roundhouse right hand. Roundhouse right hand.
Overhand right by Suero, and another one.
Back with the left jab. Box. Box, power shot. Box and power shot.
We'll have round 4 for you after this timeout on ESPN.
Start with box and power shot. Can't see.
Ace hot.
Tony Suero in the red, hammering Jake Torrence in round 3. Slow motion action for you. And Torrence allowing Suero to dictate the tempo of this fight. Back live now, round 4, scheduled for 10 for these 2 middleweights. Suero with a record of 11-3-2 with 7 knockouts. Torrence is 8-1 with 4 knockouts.
It was a big year in 1981 for Jake Torrence. He had 7 fights, winning 6 of them. He lost his last fight of the year, December 3rd, to Louis K.O. Mateo by an 8-round decision.
Now there's Torrence getting off first with a left hook to the body, left hook to the head. That's what he has to do to be more effective.
And what he did for a second, he hurt Suero, and all that did was get his macho up, and he waved at him. He said, come on, let's fight.
Where's that jab? That's it. Come on, box.
Now Suero utilizing the jab to keep Jake from those rushes.
After 3 rounds, I've got Suero ahead 3 rounds to nothing. And Torrence, I really think, has to do what he's doing right now, keeping that pressure on. But he's moving in too slow. He's got to really pick up the pace.
Some good jabs from Torrence, but he takes a countering right hand right in his face from Suero. Big right hand by Suero.
Suero's looking for that one-punch knockout. He's leaning into that right hand.
We're halfway through round 4.
All right, come on. Left hand, right back. Left hand, box. Sharp short nice.
We've seen more jabs from both of these fighters in this round than all previous 3 rounds.
That's true, and it's a very heavy jab that Tony Suero is throwing. And I think that Jake has to just keep throwing that left hand if he's going to do anything in this fight.
We're in the final minute of the round as Suero digs a left hand to the midsection of Torrence, then a right to the head. Suero misses. Shot by Torrence, but Suero came back with a left hook. That shook up Torrence, whose knees buckled.
His knees did a Mr. Bojangles on that one.
Very nice move by Suero because he was clipped by Torrence, but he had presence of mind to come back with his own countering shot. Final seconds, round 4. Well, Torrence came out here in round 4 with new vim and vigor. Showed Suero a lot more of his jab, but once again, Tough Tony out of Philadelphia, slugging pretty good. Taking some action in round 4. Suero missing with the right hand. Torrence trying to take advantage, but Suero came back with a crunching left hook. Back live. Round 5. Let's go to the recording now of the conversation in Tony Suero's corner between rounds.
Yeah, he hit. Now you caught him with an overhand right hand. You caught him with his guard down. Only because you hit him with 2 shots in there. Yeah, you staggered with but see, you started with 2 punches in here. Again, let's go. 2 punches in here, and then roundhouse over the top with the left hooks. You caught second win. It's going to be an easy night from here in for you. Go see it.
Carmen Graziano exuding a lot of confidence for Tony Suero. Randy, as I look around the sands tonight, all eyes are glued on these 2 fighters. No one is distracted. No one is having a conversation. At least that's what I can see. This is a very entertaining fight.
It certainly is. And while I have Tony Suero well ahead, Torrence is in this fight. Just that he's got to start doing a little bit more work, but every time he starts stepping up the pace, Tony stays right with him.
Graziano's only complaint with Tony is that he is being hit by Torrence, and he's taking, not a lot of hard shots, but I think Carmen's worried about that. And that has been a criticism of Suero for a while.
Well, it's something to be worried about. If your guy doesn't have much of a defense, when he gets in against a banger, he's going to be in trouble. Torrence is not much of a banger, and he's a good man to learn against.
Halfway through the round, Tony Suero continues to hit Torrence heavily.
I will tell you this, Tony Suero appears to be a very good listener in that corner. Carmen tells him something, he says, keep digging those shots, then come upstairs with the right hand. Sure enough, he listens. He digs 1 or 2 right hands and then throws an overhand right. He is listening well.
Press behind the jab, head step back.
Philadelphia's Tony Suero, 23 years old. Chicago's Jake Torrence is 22. We're in the final minute of round 5. Neither fighter's been down or cut. Torrence trying to get something going here, and Suero had a kind of lethargical reaction to that flurry. He must feel that Torrence can't hurt him.
Same spot. Underneath Tony. Same spot. Let's go. Same spot.
Tony Suero in the red doing it all here against Jake Torrence as we come down to the end of round 5. We're halfway through the scheduled 10-rounder. Keep it where it is. For 5 rounds, Tony Suero in the red has been very effective against Jake Torrence. Hasn't cut him, hasn't put him down, but he has hit him with every possible punch you can level your guy with. But Jake has been very tough. Now, between rounds, we recorded a conversation, actually a one-way conversation, Carmen Graziano to Tony Suero, and let's listen to it.
Nice shot. He can't handle it, ladies and gentlemen. And stay here, Tom, but follow that punch with a hook. There's no use going for his head. His gloves are up. No use hitting gloves and hurting your hand or hitting his elbow. Underneath and hook back. Hard hook, Tom. And once in a while, fall to the hook, leave with a hook. Just fall in and wait, uppercut hook. With the right hand. All right, so go to the hook side. Feint the right hand, take another half step.
You saw Jake Torrence explode with a flurry.
It's about time.
Carmen Graziano still wants his guy, Tony Suero, to hit the body.
Now the question is, can Jake Torrence do it again and again?
Well, he can't fight Suero the way he fought the first 5 rounds and expect to win.
He's blocking every one of Suero's jabs with his face. He's walking straight in and getting nailed every time Tony throws that hard jab. Again.
Suero now more of a boxer than he was earlier in the fight. He has proven he can slug with Torrence. Hacking away with the jab.
Look at those jabs snaking through Torrence's defense. Torrence has to bob and weave more, and if he's going to do anything, he's got to get on the inside and start working Suero's body.
Randy, those jabs probably offset that brief flurry by Torrence, and that takes care of the first half of the round. Now here in the second half of the round, it's up for grabs.
Well, you know, I don't really believe a lot of guys score it like that. I just take the fight as it goes. Referee Arthur McCanty, for one, he scores it and breaks it into thirds. 1 minute, 1 minute, and 1 minute. What if the guy wins the first minute, wins the second minute, and wins the first 30 seconds? But all of a sudden, the other fighter comes back and has a big 30 seconds or 25 seconds. Who do you give the round to? I think the guy that just does the most work, your brain is a computer, let your brain do the work. Don't break it into any kind of into minute sections or anything. Just watch the round and pay attention.
Obviously, it's a subjective analysis when you judge a fight. We're coming down to the end of round 6.
Boxing, Tony, boxing. Boxing.
Suero boxing in this round. There's a good countering right hand by Suero. Brought it over the lazy left of Jake Torrence.
That was a good example of a counterpunch. He waited for Torrence to throw that jab. He knew it was coming. As soon as it landed, he said, I'll swap a jab for a right cross any day. And he did so and landed it beautifully.
Coming up, round 7, as Suero stuck his tongue at Jake Torrence.
Why do of live top-ranked boxing, Boston's Freddie Roach headlines the card when he takes on Nicaragua's knockout specialist, Renato Murata. Join all the action from Las Vegas as ESPN continues to bring you the best in boxing action.
In slow motion, Tony Suero taking rapid fire from Jake Torrence, and that really was the offensive output by Jake in that previous round. Suero came back pretty good. Now we're back live, round 7 scheduled for 10.
That really was it. Jake Torrence did it once. Why can't he do it again? He's just been throwing singular punches tonight, except for that flurry.
Countering right hand again by Suero. Catching Torrence on the left side of his face. This is the sharpest boxing I've seen Suero really put in.
Well, Carmen Graziano claims that the reason Tony Suero is becoming a better fighter is he's really learned to use that jab, and he's counterpunching a lot better. Let's take a look at my scoring as I have it after 6 rounds. There it is. It's Suero well ahead.
Torrence has taken a lot, but he's not cut, hasn't gone down.
Of course, my scoring, I must remind you, unofficial.
Did I see a right hand from Torrence?
Do my eyes deceive me?
Good sharp overhand right over Suero's left hand.
Now let's see, if he landed the thing, he might start thinking to himself, wow, I did it once, let me see if I could do it again.
He's not going back to the hook side.
And if you notice, Sal, every time Suero throws that left hand, he's bringing it down around his waist. I think Torrence can drop another right hand on him.
Nice jab. Come on.
Halfway through, round 7.
Snap a couple, Tony. Snap a couple of goals. Snap a couple of goals.
As long as Torrence eats those jabs, he's not going to mount an offense. I want to remind you, coming up, welterweights Mark Harris and Robert Sawyer, scheduled for 10. That's next. Less than a minute to go in round 7. Right hand by Suero, and that shook up Jake Torrence.
It's lucky that Torrence rolled with that right hand, or he'd be on the deck now.
Torrence seems to be puzzled by Suero. Tony having his way.
Tony's taken a bit of a vacation this round, but it's still enough, I think, to carry the round.
Coming up, round 8. Middleweights Tony Suero and Jake Torrence into round 8, scheduled for 10. That's Suero in the red, Torrence in the blue. Suero with 2 wins in 1982, a TKO over Cyclone Hart in 4 rounds, and the TKO over Danny Long in the 5th. Here's his trainer and manager, Carmen Graziano, before this round.
Get a little more organized, Tony.
I never hit him clean now.
That's it. So we're going to have to hit him clean. In order to hit him clean, Tony, he's got nice defense. You got to set him up. You got to make him look one place. Deceptive move. Feint, feint. You see his hands go up, you go down. He's got a good defense. He's well schooled. He's got the basic fundamentals so well that it's going to be hard to break through upstairs, but you can go down here. It does 2 things.
Carmen Graziano telling Tony Suero that his opponent is well schooled. It'll be difficult to break through the defense, but for the better part of 7 rounds, Suero hasn't had a problem.
Carmen is a real school teacher in that corner.
He's trying to keep the pressure on Tony. I think Carmen knows that he's way ahead, but he wants to give him more incentive.
I don't think you should ever tell a fighter this fight is in the bag for you, because if you do, sometimes that's when the guy starts easing up, and he can get in trouble from that.
Torrence tried to counter the left hand of Suero, and Suero just ducked back in time.
You know, I really think that Carmen Graziano should take most of the responsibility for the development, the early development of former light heavyweight champion Mike Rossman. It was Carmen who really made him into a boxer, and it was when Carmen Graziano left Mike that Mike, well, then he won the title, but quickly fell apart after that. So I think Carmen had a lot to do with the early development of Mike Rossman.
And Carmen here has taken Philadelphia street brawler by the name of Tony Suero. Matter of fact, taken him under his wing, had him move into his house, and has been very strict with him, tough discipline, been drilling him in the gym. And there's no question, in the last year, Suero's become a better boxer.
No question about it. This is a kid who about a year ago said doesn't like to train, he has no discipline whatsoever, you better forget about being a fighter. And he went over with Carmen Graziano, and I tell you, Graziano has done some job with him, has really given him discipline.
Suero had a so-so year in 1981. 2 wins by knockouts, a loss in 10 to Mohamed Shabazz, and then a draw in 8 against Doug DeWitt, but he's come on with 2 straight wins in 82.
Well, part of Tony's problem, again, right there was the discipline. You just couldn't get him to stay in the gym. Or you couldn't even get him to the gym. He wants Doug DeWitt in a rematch in the worst way. He said, I'll take it anytime.
Round 8. Now history. We'll be right back. Jake Torrence comes out for round 9 against Tony Suero. Neither fighter's been cut or down. It's been mostly Suero. Lead right hand by Suero finds the mark. We have been talking about Carmen Graziano for most of this fight, the trainer and manager, Tony Suero. And we're going to show you, Carmen, as he yells instructions to Suero throughout the fight. Interesting, a lot of people here, but you can always hear Carmen's voice. Suero continues to bank Torrence.
Sal, I've been in arenas when there has been thousands of people yelling and screaming, and you've always heard Carmen Graziano.
There he is in the box on your screen.
He's in there fighting as much as Suero is. Move the head, you hear him.
Meanwhile, Torrence's opponent is not Carmen Graziano, it's Tony Suero, but it looks like Graziano has worked on Suero so much that he is almost like a puppeteer. Suero following his instructions.
There's my scoring as I have it after 8 rounds, of course, unofficial. Suero 7-1 over Torrence, who I believe has to knock out Suero, and that is some task in front of him.
Jake Torrence of Chicago, only one defeat in 9 fights. He came in tonight with a record of 8-1 with 4 knockouts. But he has been really lackluster against Suero's slamming.
One of the losses on Tony Suero's record came on March 28, 1981 in Syracuse. Suero was fighting on the undercard. Sugar Ray Leonard, a Larry Bonds title fight. Suero fought then contender Davey Moore, who's now the WBA junior middleweight champion. And Suero was stopped in the 4th round.
We're in the final minute of round 9. You saw a few moments ago, Torrence wrapped Suero pretty good, but he wasn't hurt. A slip there by Suero on a piece of ice.
Right, there was a couple of pieces of ice right in Torrance's corner, and Suero almost went down. Larry Hazard's telling them to clean that up.
Some sharp left hooks there by Tony Suero. Suero living dangerously with that low left.
Well, a lot of fighters will do that on purpose. Thomas Hearns does it on purpose, trying to draw shots at his chin.
Okay, let's break out. Come on.
Coming up, the 10th and final round.
Hold on.
The final 3 minutes for middleweights Tony Suero in the red, Jake Torrence in the blue. For most of the 10 rounds, Suero has been dominating. He hasn't been able to put Torrence down. He hasn't cut him, but he has been beating him to the punch. Here's a recording of Suero's trainer and manager, Carmen Graziano, between rounds.
Okay? That's when a guy becomes vulnerable. He'll be open. He's trying to knock you out. He's going to be easier to hit. Move your head.
Take it right up there.
Move your head. Side
Take
to
it right
side.
up there.
Look, Tony. This kind of stuff. 3 minutes now, okay? 3 minutes. Good hard punch.
You heard Carmen Graziano. Despite the fact that Tony Suero has been sharp against Jake Torrence, as just what occurred, he is wide open. Suero, I think, could be timed perhaps by a faster, harder hitting fight.
I think you're absolutely right, Sal. As I have the fight here in the 10th round, I've got Tony Suero well ahead. And I think the only way that Torrence can win this fight is by knocking him out. And Carmen Graziano brought out a point. He knows that Suero's ahead, and he also felt that Torrence is going to come out trying to knock his man out. And he told him that. And he said, if he tries to knock you out, it's going to leave him open, and he's going to be easy to knock out.
I bring the subject up because Suero in the previous round, the 9th, was racked pretty well. We're halfway through this last round.
Oh, I think you're really right in your observation there. I think that Suero can be timed. As a matter of fact, we've been talking about his counter right hand. Torrence hasn't done it tonight, but I think the left hand of Tony Suero can be timed.
Torrence gets hit with a left hook, keeps coming forward.
1 minute, Tony.
And that's my only criticism, really, of Suero. Otherwise, he has no signs of fatigue. He's been punching effectively with both hands, but it seems like he is open on his left side.
Tonight, Tony Suero weighs 158 3/4 pounds. He said he feels strong at this weight, although he'd rather fight at the 154-pound limit. That's the junior middleweight level. He said he doesn't think the competition up in the top 10 is that tough as it is in the middleweight limit.
Torrence now trying to pull the rabbit out of the hat in the final seconds against Suero.
Not tough, Sal. Wilfred Benitez up at the top, Sugar Ray Leonard up there, Tommy Hearns has fought at that weight. That's not tough. Tony Ayala.
Oh, this is tough Tony. Suero.
Tough Tony Suero.
But nonetheless, he has looked very well against Jake Torrence tonight. And as far as we're concerned, Jake's got to take him out here in the final seconds to win. So they go the full 10, and we'll return with the official decision after this timeout. Back at the Sands in Atlantic City, Sal Marciano with Randy Gordon. Here's Ed Darien with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision, and the scoring as follows. Judge William Kostrop scores it 9-1. Judge Harold Letterman scores it 8-2. And referee Larry Hazard scores it 7-1. And the winner, tough Tony Suero.
A unanimous decision for Tony Suero. Slight difference in the cards, but overwhelming nonetheless. 9-1, 8-2, and 7-2-1. We'll be right back to talk to Tony Suero after this pause on your #1 source for sport. We've just seen Tony Suero hammer out a unanimous decision over Jake Torrence. Tony, we made the observation that this is the best boxing we have seen from you in your career.
Well, if you think that, I'm glad, but I could do much better.
We also said that you seemed to be wide open on your left side. You were hammered a couple of times.
Well, I have to know I'm in the fight, at least.
Tony's the kind of guy that must be stimulated, otherwise he don't
If I don't
respond.
get hit like last fight, I almost fell asleep. I gotta have some pressure.
Right. It's got to be more eventful for him. He can't stay in
The
there.
harder the fight, the better I fight. If he would have had a little, if he would have came at me harder, I would have fought better. I was working off of what he did, you know, off his moves. I was trying to counter him. Just use my jab to get the points and try to take him out with the big shot.
You were very effective with your countering right.
You notice he was a smart fighter because every time I threw that jab, he threw that jab, I slipped it outside, and I came with the right, and he just, you know, turned his head. Beautiful. If he would have countered with a hook, he would have came. It would have been a good shot on his part because I wouldn't have seen it coming, and that could do a lot of damage.
Notice a little bit of hot dog in there. Sometimes you'd stick your tongue out.
Well, you couldn't see it from your side, but he was giving me a little motion too, so I counter punched that too.
For the entire fight, we listened to Carmen Graziano between rounds. Now we get a chance after the fight. Tonight it was the Carmen Graziano show.
Well, Sal, I think your observation that it was the best that he ever boxed. There's no question about that. The strength is there. The ability is there. He's a good athlete. It's a matter of discipline from here in now. The fact that he was aware that he was vulnerable for a left hook means that he's thinking, and that's very important. He's starting to...
You said I was looking out the window.
Excuse me?
Last fight you said during the introduction with the ref, I was in a classroom looking out the window. That was a good observation on your part because in that fight I was like daydreaming, like he said.
It was boring.
You got to keep your attention to keep you sharp.
Yes, this fight I was more. I still wasn't as good as I could be. I've only been in the gym the last 3 months, you know. Besides that, I missed 3, come in 1, come in 3. I mean 1, go back out 3, you know. But I've been staying in the gym I've been fighting pretty steady. That's 3 in a row. I wanted the knockout, but I was on a knockout streak, 2 in a row.
Bring on Doug DeWitt, right?
That's right. Bring him on. I'll be in tip-top shape for that fight, and if I don't stop him, they can give him the fight.
Tony Suero goes the full 10, sharp enough to look like he could go 15, perhaps 20. We'll have more boxing for you from Atlantic City after this pause.